The Valdari High Council had always prided themselves on their logical superiority. For 3 millennia, they had governed the galaxy through cold calculation, statistical analysis, and rational decision-making. Emotions, they declared, were the weakness that held lesser species back from true enlightenment. So when humanity petitioned for membership in the Galactic Confederation, the Valdari's response was predictably dismissive. Humans, declared Prime Logic Zexthul, his crystalline form refracting the council chamber's sterile light, are creatures driven by primitive emotional impulses. They wage wars over concepts they call love and honor. They weep over fictional stories. They risk their lives for strangers. Such irrationality has no place among civilized species. Captain Maya Chen sat in the defendant's chair, her dark eyes steady as she listened to the formal rejection. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Rivera maintained his composure despite the obvious insult. They had expected this. Humanity's reputation for emotional expression preceded them across the stars. With respect, Prime Logic, Maya said, rising slowly, you mistake our greatest strength for weakness. The chamber filled with the Valdari equivalent of laughter, a harmonic frequency that sounded like breaking glass. Strength? Zexthul's voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. Your species cannot even maintain unity on your own planet. You fight over resources while your neighbor's children starve. You create art that serves no functional purpose. You mourn the dead instead of simply replacing them. These are not strengths, Captain Chen. These are evolutionary failures. Dr. Rivera leaned forward. And yet we've achieved faster than light travel in less than a century after discovering the atomic structure. We've eliminated 90% of our genetic diseases. We've colonized 12 systems in the time it took you to debate whether we should be allowed to try. Reckless expansion fueled by emotional drive, another council member interjected. You take risks no logical species would contemplate. Maya smiled, an expression that seemed to unsettle several of the crystalline beings. Perhaps that's exactly why you should reconsider. The rejection was swift and final. Humanity would remain in quarantine, restricted to their small corner of the galaxy until they evolved beyond their emotional limitations. That was 18 months ago. Now, as Zexthul watched the tactical displays in horror, he began to understand what humanity's emotional limitations could accomplish when properly motivated. It had started with the Kethvar invasion. The insectoid warriors had swept through 3 systems in as many weeks, their hive mind efficiency overwhelming every defense the Confederation could muster. The Valdari had run their calculations. Resistance was futile. Logic dictated surrender and negotiation. Humanity had received the distress signal and responded anyway. Captain Chen? Zexthul's transmission crackled with static as his ship shuddered under Kethvar plasma fire. Your species was ordered to maintain quarantine. Why are you here? Maya's face appeared on the screen, streaked with sweat and determination. Around her, the bridge of the UES Defiance hummed with activity as humans prepared for what every calculation said was certain death. Because it's the right thing to do, she said simply. The Valdari would later analyze the Battle of Kepler 442 for decades. By every metric, humanity should have lost. The Kethvar outnumbered them 50-1. Their technology was superior. Their tactics were flawless. But the Valdari had never accounted for what humans could do when fighting for something beyond themselves. Dr. Rivera's medical ships dove into combat zones to rescue wounded Valdari, their crews singing ancient songs to keep their spirits up as plasma bolts melted their hulls. Engineer Sarah Kim jury-rigged a quantum resonator in the middle of battle, powered by nothing but stubborn refusal to accept the impossible. Commander James Park led a suicidal charge that somehow became a brilliant tactical victory, simply because he couldn't bear the thought of letting his people down. The humans didn't just fight the Kethvar. They inspired every other species to fight harder than logic said they should. A Valdari squadron found themselves pushing beyond safe parameters because they couldn't disappoint the human pilot flying cover for them. Andorian Marines discovered courage they didn't know they were possessed when they saw humans weeping for their fallen enemies. In 3 days, the unstoppable Kethvar invasion became a rout. I don't understand, Zexthul confessed as his rescue ship docked with the Defiance. His crystalline form was cracked, his perfect logic fractured by what he had witnessed. Your actions were completely irrational. You had no obligation to help us. Every calculation said you would die. Maya looked out at the stars where human ships were already organizing relief efforts for the devastated worlds. Prime logic, you've spent so long trying to eliminate emotion from your thinking that you forgot something important. What? Logic can tell you the most efficient way to achieve a goal, Dr. Rivera added, joining them at the viewport. But emotion tells you which goals are worth achieving in the first place. Zexthul processed this for a long moment. Around them, humans worked alongside other species, their laughter and tears mixing freely as they celebrated victory and mourned losses in equal measure. Your emotional responses, he said slowly, they're not random chaos. They're a different kind of calculation. They're what make us human, Maya replied. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what the galaxy needs. The Valdari High Council's vote to grant humanity full membership in the Confederation was unanimous. For the first time in their species' history, it wasn't based on logic, it was based on hope.